What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. Okay, so tariff rebates. We're going to talk a little bit about that today in this video. And today I want to show you a video, and this is from the Washington Journal. She's going to be talking about tariff rebates, the $2,000 tariff rebates, and the better solution. She has a better solution, and I actually agree with what she's saying here. So we're going to talk about that in this video, but first off, you guys can do me a favor. Please like the video, and if you're watching this video and you want to see more content like this, please consider subscribing to the channel. Okay, here is a post from the Washington Journal talking about stimulus checks. Here we go.
It would probably work similar to the COVID relief payments that we got in 2020 and 2021. Those were administered through the tax code. You either received them in advance or you reconciled it when you filed your taxes. But that takes an act of Congress. That's not something that the president can just decide on his own to do.
And that is very, very important. The president can talk about $2,000 stimulus checks all he wants, but it has to go through Congress. And is Congress willing to move forward with passing a $2,000 stimulus check for the American people? That's what it comes down to. So the president can say, oh, this sounds like a good idea. Let's move forward with this. But it's up to Congress. And this is the same situation we saw with dividend checks. They were talking about a $5,000 dividend check going out to the American people. You saw that Elon Musk liked it, and President Trump said it sounds like a good idea, but it didn't go anywhere. And Doge now, I mean, where is Doge? Are they still finding wage fraud and abuse? How much wage fraud and abuse did they find? What happened to that money? I thought that money was going to go to help pay down our national debt, as well as to go out to in the form of a dividend check. Whatever happened to that? You know, you have to start asking yourself these questions. So just because the president is saying, yes, we're going to send out these stimulus checks, doesn't mean that it's going to happen, because Congress has to act on this.
So if this is going to be realized, if people are actually going to get $2,000 checks, Congress would have to enact a law in order to do that. They have not done that so far, so there is no pending check right now. But there is a big math problem with the checks. So like I mentioned earlier, the new tariffs have brought in about $120 billion to date. Of course, through the end of the year, that will grow. But it's substantially lower than any sort of estimate of these checks out to be. I've done some math too, just looking at Americans who file tax returns who report earning $100,000 or less on their tax returns, because Secretary Bessent has alluded to that $100,000 of income being the cutoff point for receiving a check. If you assume it just goes to taxpayers and spouses, no children at all receive the checks, then it would cost at least $300 billion. So the range of estimates for the price tag of these tariff rebate checks is somewhere between $300 billion to $600 billion. And all of that is far more than what the tariffs have generated for the government.
And so ultimately, what she's saying there, and I've said this in the past, you don't have enough money coming in from tariff revenue. And so you're still going to have to borrow money in order to send out stimulus checks. So it doesn't even really make sense, because the whole reason for tariffs, or at least this current administration is saying one of the reasons that we're bringing in this revenue and tariffs, we're going to take that tariff revenue and we're going to pay down our national debt. Well, you can't pay down the national debt and send out these stimulus checks, because these stimulus checks are going to cost more than what you've collected so far in revenue. And so let's just say, and she said 120 billion, let's say it gets to 200 billion by the end of the year. It gets to 200 billion by the end of the year. That's still short. That's still, and I think she mentioned what, $300 billion. That would be on the low end. $600 billion would be on the high end. So let's just take the 300 billion. If it was 300 billion, you only brought in 200 billion in tariff revenue, you still owe 100 billion. So you're going to have to find 100 billion. So you're going to need to borrow 100 billion, and that's going to go to our national debt. So we're going to be borrowing even more money, when the whole reason that they're bringing in this tariff revenue is to pay down the national debt. It makes no sense. But now you have the president out there talking about this, about a $2,000 stimulus check. And so everyone is excited. They're saying, wow, this is going to happen. It's going to happen in 2026. This is great. It's not possible right now. The numbers don't make sense.
So if you look at the impact of the COVID era stimulus checks, most estimates say that those stimulus payments, as well as the other fiscal stimulus, all of the COVID money that the federal government spent, contributed anywhere between 1 to 3 percentage points to headline inflation. Now, the scope of what we would be looking at, the deficit financed amount of these checks would be substantially smaller than what was deficit financed during COVID, but it would create more inflationary pressures in the economy. And so, in that sense, it's a bit misguided at this point to do stimulus checks. A better way to target relief to low and middle income Americans would be to lift the tariffs in the first place. The tariffs are creating a drag on the economy. They're adding to costs. They're reducing incomes. That's particularly true for low and middle income households. And so getting rid of the tariffs would be better than a sort of Band-Aid policy of sending them $2,000 checks.
And so that last part that she was talking about there is very, very important. So one thing she was talking about is the fact that if you start sending out stimulus checks, this $2,000 tariff rebate checks, that could cause inflation. Okay, and ultimately it will cause inflation, but just we don't know how high inflation will go as a result of these tariff rebates. But we saw in the past that when stimulus checks went out and we had, we were in a situation in the pandemic, they were sending out stimulus checks, PPP funding, and all of this, it caused inflation. And so in this situation, you send out stimulus checks, which means that if you're sending out some type of rebate check, you're sending money to the American people. A lot of people are going to spend that money. And when you spend that money, it's inflationary. And so that could cause prices to go up even higher. So now you're in a situation where you're struggling. You receive this $2,000 and you spend the money, and everyone else that receives, or a lot of other people that receive that money, they spend it. And so it makes prices go up even higher. And when that $2,000 is gone, guess what? Those prices aren't going to come right back down. They're going to stay inflated. And so not only are you in a situation right now where prices are higher, but if you receive a stimulus check, prices are going to go up even higher. And so she raised a good point at the end there, talking about the way that you can help the American people right now is by lifting these tariffs, because these tariffs are what's causing some of these prices to go up. And so if you lift these tariffs, that means prices will come back down. And when you have these different trade wars with other countries, that would help with the trade wars, because maybe countries like China will say, okay, now that you've lifted the tariffs, we'll go ahead and do business with you. We'll buy more soybean from you. We'll buy more rice from you. So the key here is lifting the tariffs, not trying to send out stimulus checks. It's lifting the tariffs. That's what's going to help the American people the most. And you don't have to worry about a situation where you're bringing in this tariff revenue, and then as soon as it comes in, it's going right back out in the form of a rebate check. So I want to know what you guys think about this. So let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye. So that's all we have for this video. Make sure if you guys want to send me an email, you can do that, david@thetecshow.com. Like the video, subscribe for more, and check out these videos over here for some more great content. Talk to you later. Bye.